Shield the building! No one out!
انتبهوا إنه يتجه نحو السطوح. مفهوم؟ انتبهوا إنه يتجه نحو السطوح.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Really 007 podcast. I'm Thomas Pickup, and we're here for a special interview today with yet another Bond girl and another Bond girl from one of our very favourite Bond films, The Living Daylights. I'm delighted to introduce Karen Seberg, who not only had a role in the film, as we're going to talk about today, but she was involved in the title song by a-ha, amongst other things. And she's got loads of great stories about that period of her life and filming in, like I say, one of the best Bond films featuring our favourite Bond, Timothy Dalton. Yeah. So yes, before we go into all the questions and everything with Karen, just to let you know, you can catch us on this YouTube channel. You can also listen in on iTunes, Spotify, and other platforms. And we're on social media, so just look up Really 007 Pod and you should find us on most pages. So yes, Karen, great to have you. Good afternoon.
Good to be here, and thank you for having me. Good intro.
A few. Well, thank you. Yeah, we had a few technical issues, didn't we, along the way? But we've got her here now, so hopefully you can hear us both loud and clear.
Yeah, listen, it's divine timing, isn't it? Yes. Yesterday wasn't right, and today we're on it completely.
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, Karen. I mean, viewers and listeners might not know an awful lot about you. So from the beginning, is it right that you're half English, half Norwegian? Is that right?
Yes, I am. And in fact, that played a part in getting the role because I think, as I just alluded to yesterday, when I did my audition, and I was, and I'm going to say simply, but I mean that because I'm not an actress. I was simply a model that turned up to the audition. And I think they were looking for a bit of, not just to be leggy, but to be lippy. And so that half Norwegian, half English came into it because they said, oh, well, what half? And I went, well, the top half, of course. And I think that's really what got me the part, as well as being half Norwegian and a-ha that year, amazingly doing the music. So I think Cubby Broccoli went, this will be a great mix, and always and ever, I think, the guy who looked at the bigger picture for social media and the marketing afterwards, because it is a global brand. And so, I played my little role in the Scandinavian part of that.
If you come into a normal film for a role like yours, you might be filming for a day or two and then you don't hear about it again. That might be the end of it. But here, you're actually you're not just in the film, you're promoting the film afterwards. And you're spending quite a good deal of your life going across the world. So that I mean, if you're a Bond girl, it's something else, isn't it? You're not just a normal actor or a normal part in a film.
I hadn't realized. I was sort of a baby. I was a very, very early 20s, and I dare to say, because it was true, I wasn't actually that keen on going for it because, one, I didn't think I was up to it. 3, I had a mortgage to pay, and it didn't actually pay that well. And that's where my little tiny focus was on my, paying my mortgage. I'm a working girl. But one of my friends who'd been in a previous Bond film said to me, Karen, don't you realize you can write this on your passport for the rest of your life? And I didn't get it. I just didn't get it, but I so get it now, because this is several decades later, and here I am still speaking about it and celebrating it because Bond is such a loved institution, as it were. And yeah, I now realize how lucky I was to be on board this particular ship, as it were.
Because you've definitely realized it, because now your own business, you've sort of changed the name and outlook of it. You can see there, if you're watching this behind, Sacred Bond.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What and it is sacred dot bond,
Take a
not
dot.
dot com, because I went on to do marketing and stuff, and now I work
Right.
with suicide awareness and prevention, and I'm a spiritual mentor. The reason I changed my branding only in the last 2 years is because when I was speaking to people at Mind, Body, and Spirit festivals and things like that, all they wanted to get hold of me and talk about was, "Oh, you're in a Bond film, you're a Bond girl," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So I decided, you know what? Let's embrace this. Stop
Yeah.
hiding from it. I'm old enough now to go, do you know what? Yeah, I bloody well was. And
Yeah.
do you know what? That's quite an accolade. My best friend's a Bond girl. Mine's about connection, strong in everything I teach and everything I talk and share about. So it's a marriage made in heaven. And the other thing I touched on yesterday is I champion what I call sacred agents. Now, these sacred agents are people that help people in a daily life. And so they're my little James Bonds. They're my fabulous people who, they're not the glamorous ones that are on the back of motorbikes charging along with guns,
Yeah, of
but
course.
they still can save lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, isn't it? And I know I don't know an awful lot about your work, but I do know that you've done TV appearances to promote it and stuff. But could you just give us sort of day-to-day analysis of what you do and your website and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at the moment, I've built on this page a safety net of groups that I know are helping and doing cutting edge work with people who they can be in perceived trouble, temporary trouble, because that's what it always is. And we help remind people over and to get re-educated or ask for help. And so there's lots of different apps and ways to take in this information. And so really, I'm just a signboard. I want to be a cosmic yellow pages for help, really. So that's what I'm doing there. And then, like you, I've just started a YouTube channel, and as I put it, I've got out of my own way, because what I find is the connection with people, this lovely bond, is so important. We are humans, and that's what can make the difference in life,
Mm.
rather than feeling isolated or alone.
That's-
But should we get back to Bond? Because
Yeah,
I'm so excited and honored that you've asked about my work.
of
But I
course.
know that other people will be sitting there going,
Yeah, yeah.
"Bottom like probably or something." I don't know. You tell me.
No,
You
no.
ask me.
Well, you mentioned your friend, your best friend.
She and I, famously, I always think famously because I said this is her last big birthday, but I can't mention which one because we're the
Yeah.
same. I met her in the back of a limousine going to the airport.
Oh,
I mean, because we live near each other in London, and I'm now godmother to her eldest son. She's godmother to mine, and without her in my life, well, I wouldn't even imagine it because we're soulmates, we're soul sisters. We've been through so much, and just bonding on the set of Bond was incredible because it's quite daunting for young 20-year-olds. We were in the harem scene. So,
yeah, yeah.
when he goes across the rooftops, they gave her the pink bikini and they gave me the green swim costume. And I could see her face. She just went absolutely white, and I just went, it's okay. I'll take one for the team. Give it here. I'll put it on. And it was so not me. I hate pink. I hate bikinis. Well, not anymore, but I did then.
He did, yeah.
But I think that cemented. She thought, God, this girl's done this for me. This is amazing. So that was an instant connection and something I'm forever grateful to Cubby Broccoli for because, he spots in us something. And I don't know what it is, but I'm very glad he spotted it.
Yeah, Cubby is somebody that everybody who we interview mentions as like a godfather type figure, someone who was running the whole show, but also really helpful, really friendly. And I don't know whether you have any like sort of dealings with him one to one.
Well, I thought I wouldn't, and clearly I didn't think I would because on the plane over there we drank a lot of miniature bottles. And being 20 and also thinking we'd arrive and go to bed, I don't know, certainly not. But to be met at the gate, I mean, I was dying. I turned around to everyone and went, put your sunglasses on and don't say anything. Because it was obvious in person, taking you on board, just seeing that, what he'd seen in auditions was in front of him, and very welcoming. I mean, incredibly welcoming.
Cubby greets you in Morocco. What? That's just amazing, isn't it? What what was Morocco like to work on? How good was that place? I mean, it's looks amazing in the film.
It was hot, dusty. We were told quite a lot of rules that we had to always
Yeah.
sort of, although the rules are we were told to dress like a Bond girl at all times. Well, what, hello. By the
Yeah.
way, I hope you see the nod to Bond today. You see, it hasn't gone
Yeah.
away. Got a
Yeah.
little bit of leopard, and I just thought it'd be funny to put a tux on
Yeah, it is a
over
touch,
my,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
superb. Yeah.
because I'm bloody frozen, and
Yeah. Problem.
and just a cashmere jumper doesn't quite cut. We had to be covered over the heads back then, and I remember our legs had to be covered, and we had to be careful and chaperoned. But we were quite full on filming all the time, and looked after in the hotel. And in fact, there was something that came to mind because I Googled yesterday just to see if there was anything that I'd forgotten,
Yeah.
and I saw that it put Karen Seberg, Girl 9.
Girl 9. Wow.
Girl 9, what the hell does that mean? But then, because I was thinking, well, was I the last one? Was there another one? And then I looked beside, and it was
Right.
Warris.
Right.
Now, and she was girl 10. Well, Warris has gone on to global. I mean, she's doing so much good in the world. She is a trailblazer. So I took on board girl 9 and thought, that's fine. If she's girl 10, I'm taking that, I think that's the other thing about Bond is because it is a global key, and it means that possibly you can have a talking stick because people will listen to what you have to say, or at least want to hear. And therefore, I don't think we should squander it lightly.
Yeah.
And if we can put it to good use, then we do. And I know many people that do in the Bond family that do things for charity and stuff like that. And dare I mention my great mate, Carol Ashby as well, who's
Yeah. Like her.
absolutely leads the pack. Yeah. I love her.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's brilliant, and she loves meeting the fans and sort of getting that feel of what it's like to be a Bond girl. And I think anyone who we've spoken to over the years, whether they be someone who, particularly like you, was more of a model coming into the film, your first film, and then all the way up to people like Mariam in your film, who was the lead actress, they both, it's the best thing. But they absolutely love it. They love talking about it, and they're very proud of it. And it is, like you
Yeah.
said, something that everyone knows Bond, don't they? Nobody left on the planet basically doesn't know who Bond is. So it is a touchstone. It is something that, and you guys, like you say, the other members of the harem have gone on to massive things, haven't they? It's a start because you were so young that you've used it as a stepping board for your careers in very different fields, of course, as well.
Yeah, and some for me, you mentioned at the top in the introduction that I had something to do with Aha's music.
Yes.
Not quite. But what I did do is off the back of that, because there was so much interest in me because of the link with Aha, and I'd done some publicity on the roof gardens, the Kensington roof gardens. There were three of us, Femi, me, and Trisha. The boys were really big at the time, like they were huge. So they
Yeah,
had quite an aura about them. But I'm always like, well, who do you think you are? And I still think that to anyone today. And I love finding out when somebody's actually been really humble and then they turn out to be, some superstar, and you go, oh my God, they're so humble. But at the time, they were big, they were huge, we loved them. And they were talking amongst themselves and ignoring the three girls.
Right.
And there was a paparazzi guy there called Dave. I can't remember his surname, but perhaps somebody listening can. It was Dave, and he was the famous paparazzi guy with a beard. And I just felt like being cheeky because they were ignoring us. I said something in Norwegian to Morton, and he just looked at me because obviously he was like, shit, what else did she understand?
Yeah.
It's like, And anyway, Dave got the picture of this interaction. And the next thing you know, I'm headlines in Norway.
The press thought you were with Morton at that time.
Well, the thing is, because Dave had caught that moment of me saying something and Morton looking,
Yeah.
he'd caught that and thought he'd seen chemistry.
Yes.
So the next thing you know, that picture, which wasn't chemistry at all, that was me going, uh-oh, watch out, boys. I understand what you're saying. A big thing in Norway, who is Karen Seberg? And there was a headline that said, Aha's new blonde bombshell.
So good, isn't it? This is the old tabloid industry that we don't have as much of these days.
I think we could do something with this. Can you sing? And I went, no. So yeah, I recorded this horrific song.
It's not horrific. I have listened to it now, Karen, and it's good. It's like
No,
it's very poppy, isn't it? It's very
it's
80s.
very poppy, very
Yeah.
80s. Yeah, it is my voice. And
Yeah.
but I had great fun. I recorded that in Peter Gabriel's studio. How did these things happen to me? It just
You make your own luck, don't you? No, that's amazing. This song was big, wasn't it, in Norway?
Yeah, can we underline in Norway?
That's
In
yeah,
Norway.
that's good, but that's better than
Yeah.
some countries. They produced a Bond song. The two people ahead of you in the charts.
Michael Jackson and Madonna. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, that isn't it? That is incredible, and this is like Pete Jackson, Pete Madonna, which is
Yeah,
good.
and also I was really like so lucky to be invited to go to the premiere in Tokyo for
of
Bond.
the Living Daylights. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So usually with a premiere they pick a package of the people in it that traveled the world to these premieres, and I was picked for Tokyo as well as Dublin and obviously London, but it was just incredible because in this cavalcade, I'm sure Michael Jackson was over there, but
yeah.
I haven't got clear. I never
Believe
obviously
it.
never met him, but I did meet Gregory Peck at the film festival,
Wow.
and that was probably the most charismatic man. And what a Bond he'd have made! Seriously,
Yes, he would, wouldn't he? Yeah, an American James Bond.
he was being charming, holding his wife's hand and looking after her, and just it was a moment. It really was a moment for me. And yeah, that night it was sort of felt dangerous. It felt like a really dangerous night. We went out to the nightclubs afterwards. We were with David Putnam, Alan Parker, me being Celia Fenn, who was the other Bond girl, and me. And Kelly McGuinness was with us on our table, and we're all sitting. So this is Top Gun era.
Yeah, it is.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Listen, I think I only got anywhere in life because I had curly hair, and it was the 80s. Seriously, my hair naturally is curly, and that was that. So there I am with them at the table, and suddenly all the lights get turned off in this nightclub. And I'm like, what? And a voice came out, and then a light went on her face on a geisha girl, and she started singing. We all had been given torches on our tables. Yeah, that was a special moment.
This is so good, isn't it? So this is all. You could have said no to Bond, and none of this would have happened. You could have just had another modelling job, couldn't you? And then, yeah,
Well, actually, being an interviewer myself, you've just come up with, that's a question.
yeah.
Who? So I'm going to ask you, who would say no to Bond?
Very good question. Yeah, I think only these days maybe people. I think particularly for the role of Bond, who don't want to be typecast. I think because you can see now Daniel Craig is desperately trying to do anything different to James Bond in all his
Mm.
roles now, which you can understand. And I think Timothy was a bit the same, wasn't he? Because he wasn't ever wanting to be a famous actor or celebrity. He's just a serious actor who thought this is a really good role, and he's obviously we think he suits the role as Ian Fleming wrote the role. So there are people who it's not for everyone, whereas other people totally embrace it and use it to sort of help their career and get different parts as well. If you are Bond, though, you're forever Bond, aren't you? That'll be the first thing you're introduced as on any show or anything. This is James Bond. So I can understand why people would be a bit reluctant. And the fame, of course, is the other thing. The fame and attention. Not everybody likes that.
No, oh well, that's a whole nother part to it. I mean, that's something that I experienced actually in Norway with the
Yeah.
music. I
Wow.
remember getting on a plane with absolutely zilch makeup on, and this air hostess saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I said, "What?" And she went, "Oh, I just thought you were." She said, "You look so like Karen Seberg." And I just said to her, "Oh, so many people say that. Yeah, no." But the point is, as you might understand as well, that I like a drink, I like a party, and you do anything in public, and then it's people. Well, in my day, it ended up in the newspaper. Nowadays, it's just on Instagram. But I just, so I hated. That is such an intrusion, even to the point where I gave a press conference and they were going, "Oh, and how about your private life? What's your love life like?" and all of that. I'm only 20 something and also private. So I just went, "Oh, I haven't got any time for that." And there was a headline and it said, "Karen Seberg has no time for sex."
Dear me. They could get away with
I
that
mean,
one.
that was it. Those are in the days, although I think it's still, what do they say? Don't let truth get in the way.
Yeah, that's a good story, yeah.
I remember going over to Morocco and we didn't know who Bond was. We didn't know who he was going to be. We just knew he wasn't Sean Connery. I
Yeah,
think that was, I mean, what a ledge. God,
yeah.
I'd have run there if it was Sean, I have to say. Yeah,
No.
I tell you what does it for me is the voice. The voice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah.
I
Well,
think the voice.
Tim's voice is
Oh,
lovely as well, isn't it? Soft.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. So we didn't know who was Bond, and we just turned up and they plonked us beside the pool and went, get to know each other quickly because we're filming tomorrow. And I remember Eddie Kidd was in the pool and he'd started water polo. So he said, "Come on, get a team together. Come on, you're on my team. You look useful or handy." And he was like, "Oh." People were going, "You've just asked. You're James Bond." And I went, "Oh, okay. I didn't know." And then I thought, well, he'd be good he'd be great to have on my team then. But he sort of was a little bit, he wanted to distance himself from the raucous because he was the lead and he is a serious actor. And I was just very naughty and precocious, probably. Okay.
There's a lot of
that's
pressure
later.
on him as well, isn't there? He's the new Bond. He's carrying this big franchise. People are going to judge him, and yeah, it's his first time. So was he? What was he like? Did you see him off screen as well? Like, did he come to any of these premieres with you?
I didn't do a premiere with him, I don't think. But what we did do when we were filming, one was in the desert, in the Bedouin tents. So it was all the cast and crew, and that was stunning. When we were in the Bedouin tents
Yeah,
and stuff like that, they had a sort of a big, huge football pitch set up
yeah.
with flags and loads of Arabian horses. And they said, "Who'd like to go in a race?" I said, "Yes," apart from moi and the head stuntman, Paul Weston. And yes, I did win. Just wanted to add that in. I think he might have let me, all right, possibly. So that was that.
We could ask him. We'll see whether he did let you win horse race.
Yeah, I have got this picture of me on this skinny
Oh,
Arabian grey horse. I want to be a stunt woman. I want to be a stunt
yeah,
woman.
yeah.
I would have loved that.
That's
I would love it. I would have loved that. We were getting pretty silly and pretty daring, and for some reason, I don't know how, but I got the whole restaurant singing "We Are the World." No, no. Do they know it's Christmas? No, do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah, feed
Yeah,
the
and I
world.
think
Yeah.
yeah. So there we were in this Moroccan restaurant, all singing this at the top of our voices, and he joined in. Good for him. He really did.
Tim
He just
joined
had
in.
to. He
So
had to.
you've sung with Timothy Dalton. I mean,
He had to.
Exactly.
He'd done quite a lot by then of the filming and stuff.
Yeah. So was he more relaxed then, noticeably?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, from what I saw, absolutely. Also, I would say, I mean, this is just a real personal comment here, is, he's not a flirt and he's not a charmer. He's not insular, but he's
Yeah.
focused on what he's doing. He's there for a reason, and he's probably going through his lines. He's probably
Yeah.
staying in
Cool. Yeah.
character. And we were just flibberty gibbets, as in 20-year-olds, sort of having a bit of fun in Morocco. So you can see that could be quite annoying, really.
So, so have you seen the film recently?
It's usually on at really embarrassing times for me when
Yeah.
people go, "Oh," and I'm going, "Listen, it's this scene, it's the horror scene,"
Yeah.
and I jump up and go, "Ah," because and before I was sort of always embarrassed about that because a lot was on the floor, but on the cutting room floor. But then I hear that Eddie Kidd's part, I read only yesterday that his part was cut quite severely
Yeah,
because they
okay.
said it was they felt it was too light-hearted.
There was a scene they filmed with like a magic carpet or something, which is the same set piece, but that was cut. I do know that. I don't know whether he was in that. Like that was filmed the chase around the town. So I don't know whether he was involved in that at all, but
That
you can
ring,
see you
yeah,
can see it. Yeah.
that rings a bell. Yeah.
I don't think
I,
it's good with Tim's style though, that to be honest.
No, I don't know how hang on, that's given me an image in my head of I don't know if you remember. No, you won't have remembered, but there was a film called Broomstead and what's that
Oh,
called?
bed knobs and
Broomstick.
broomsticks.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bed knobs. Yeah, and they do a silly bit in that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it was as silly as that, but it's not a silly film.
No, it's definitely not. No,
It's
no.
Bond.
Yeah.
It's,
Good.
it's
I'm glad that wasn't it.
it's Bond. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you said if I said no to
Yeah.
Bond. Well, I have to say I was very near
Mm.
because of my mortgage,
Yeah.
you know? But also that's why you have agents who tell
Yeah.
you don't be stupid. People will bite your hand off, and people would actually pay money to do it, not the
Yeah.
other way
Oh, yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yes, you are completely right to say that my life would be different, but that is because I would put that totally down to meeting my best friend in the back of the limousine going to the airport, because that was love at first sight, and we are soul sisters, and we've gone through everything together. And now it's really quite fun with her and me because our kids are at an age where actually
No.
vintage cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, that's quite a nice thing to know. I always felt a bit embarrassed. Truthfully, earlier on, I was always living it down or trying not to tell anyone or hiding it as a secret. Well, that's actually like, oh, right, that's kudos and kindness, weirdly as well, and a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I embraced the glamour,
Yeah.
and
But you're still very glamorous, of course, today. And
well, I've
yeah,
togged up,
you
togged
have.
up.
But you were a model then. That's how you started, and that's how you sort of came to be in this world.
Again, there was a lucky story. I was in a nightclub. It was called the Embassy. It was in New Bond Street. Some people
Nice.
might remember that. It was the place to be
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then, especially on a Thursday night.
Amazing.
We had Lemmy from Motorhead there.
Oh,
I did meet David Bowie there. I
wow.
know he asked me my name and I asked him his because
It's probably refreshing though for someone like him, wasn't it? You know.
I did. But that wasn't me being, that was just like me being embarrassed. Yeah. So there I was, dressed as a clown. I don't know why. And Renaissance clown,
Yeah,
think
yeah,
new romantic frill
of
and
course.
everything. But I did have a tear on my cheek here in eyeliner. And a woman came up to me and said, "Oh, here's my card. Give me a call." And I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, really? I don't think so." And then 3 months later, I happened to be watching television and I happened to be watching a documentary about this supermodel. There weren't supermodels back then.
Yeah, yeah.
She was called Joanne Russell and she had lots of curly hair. And she was discovered on a Tesco's checkout by this lady,
Oh,
Marianne Edgar. And I'm
wow.
like, shit, where's the card? Where's the card? And she said, "You took your time.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, she even remembered it. 3 months. Goodness me.
It's not the industry it is now."
No.
No. And also another exciting thing for me looking back is on the Models One head sheet, the first one I was on, I've got Yasmin Le Bon on the same
Oh,
head
amazing.
sheet.
Yeah,
Yeah, and she'd just met with Simon Le Bon and Steve
yeah.
Strange used to come to the offices, and yeah, it was cool.
That's
But
incredible.
we didn't realize it was
No.
cool.
Well, Simon Le Bon, of course, in Duran Duran, did the previous Bond song.
Yeah.
I think that's why they wanted another band, a trendy band to do this one.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
just tell her so go on, what exactly was involved with your meeting with the photo shoot with Aha? And was it just them or was John Barry there as well, do you know?
Yeah, John Barry. I've got a
Oh,
photo
one of my all-time heroes.
for the Dublin premiere. I mean, iconic man. And in fact, I did a recent, autograph signing, and I had a few little pictures of my own, and one has got John in it, and this guy came up to me and he went, "Oh, wow, please sign this photo because it means so much." Yeah, so I gave him my photo of that one, but yeah, a talent, a
That
legend.
I think he's probably Britain's greatest composer. I can say that. I know I'm biased with the Bond stuff, and I think the story goes that he and Aha clashed when they wrote the song together. But the finished product is so good. I do think it's one of the best Bond songs. But I hope you like it, Karen.
No, I absolutely love it. And you do hear it on the radio quite a
You
lot.
do still hear it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, you do. Yeah, I can't remember, and it was only recently I heard the story where, yeah, there was a little bit of this
Yeah.
aha, we're a little type of attitude
Yeah.
for Bond. It's probably a bit of a Norwegian thing.
Well, no, I wasn't going to say anything.
You can hear loads of our other episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and our YouTube channel, where we have interviews, special episodes, and reviews of all the Bond films. Simply search Really 007 Pod, and you should find loads of weird and wonderful content.
Going back to the casting, your agent obviously got you this part and everything. But did you have to meet anybody else from the Bond team before you went to Morocco?
No,
No?
no. We were very lucky. I think, for a Bond girl, remember, that's all I was there for. It was just that, I think they wanted to see swift response, which, boy, did I give them. I think at one point, one of them just said, "Jump in the air." And I just jumped in the air quicker than before they'd even finished the sentence.
Right.
Which is ironical because I was the girl that jumped in the air in the harem scene.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
But and then also being a bit quick-witted with them and lippy because they were firing questions at me, and I think that was more my audition to see how I would handle sort of press globally, because you are faced with a barrage of lenses and then people asking questions. It's a bit like in that scene, Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant when he goes there,
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's there trying to be, very poised and everything, and they're all there trying to get their words in and getting all the questions. And I have to say, I loved that bit. I really loved that part of what I did, because it makes you think on your feet. You're alive. If I can make someone laugh, then I'm happy. And then also they knew then that I would be able to cope with media wise, so radio, which is my first love, and then television. Saki over there too for the first time, which haven't drunk it since though. Yeah, so I mean that was it. Everybody in that casting team had thrown a question at you and asked you to do something, and it was quite full on.
Yeah.
And I remember just trying to get through the audition as fast as I could, because I didn't actually feel that well. And I was wearing this really tight little dress that I'd just bought literally 10 minutes before in Topshop, the road. Well, I wasn't feeling very well. And I rang them and I said, "Are they doing it on another day?" And they said, "Get there. You've got to get in." And I went, "Oh, but I've just been." And they went, typical 20-year-old, "Oh, but, and they said, "Oh, please don't tell us you're wearing jeans and a white t-shirt." And I said, "Yeah." And they went, "No, this is James Bond. You need a dress." I went, "Dress? I don't do dresses." So off I went to Topshop. And I think the dress cost me 20 quid. And it was just this little t-shirt thing. But then, all youngsters that age, they all look good in a bin liner. And so I turned up. So I literally was standing in front of the camera thinking, when can I get out of this dress and out of this room and lie on a sofa and be sick? I mean, I think that stood me in good stead as well, because there's something quite charming about somebody that doesn't want something that you're trying to give them.
Yeah.
But that's only with me, decades later in hindsight. It was just the other time. The other thing is I've got to be grateful for is right time, right place. I was lucky. We're all given opportunities, and it's for us to put them under the arm and run with them and score a try.
Yes. Nice rugby
Did you like
reference.
that?
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
rugby fans listening?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, and yeah, I mean, looking back at the film now, it's getting on for 40 years old. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? I can't. It still seems like because it's quite a I don't know. It feels like a modern Bond film. It's not as cheesy and it's not as sort of 60s. It does feel like it could have been filmed 90s, 2000s or something. It's very modern.
Well, it's interesting because actually something we haven't discussed, but this is totally relevant to your observation.
Yeah.
There was a change in the tide when they brought in Timothy,
Yes. Yeah.
and I got it in a lot of press conferences where before it had been very, very sexist. I mean, come on, Bond girls.
Roger Moore.
It had
Yeah.
been, and we were the first lot, all of us, all of the girls, that weren't glamour models.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't do glamour. I'm not on page 3. And they
Yeah.
said no, they want the fashion models.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was they were deliberately trying to get a different breed and a different slightly different look.
I think Roger Moore in the previous film, A View to a Kill, had 4 women he slept with, and in this one, it's just Cara, it's just Mariam, as far as we know. So there's that move to make it a bit more, I don't know, appropriate, you could say.
Well, there was another thing going on at that time because I'd been modeling in South Africa
Okay.
for 3 months just before I did the film, or was it just after?
Yeah.
And it was around the time when AIDS had hit.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Of
And
course.
and that was then, like I said, I went to the embassy club and stuff. It was a big thing and
Yeah.
it was very frightening. And all we knew is, if you had unprotected sex with someone, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a death sentence. I mean, it was really that scary. And so they needed to bring the awareness in, but and counter that, oh well, he's doing it and he's doing it, so it's all okay, because it wasn't
Yeah.
okay. The brakes had to be put on. Talking about that, because obviously Princess Diana was one, she was instrumental in bringing awareness about AIDS, and also, that handshake in hospital,
Yeah.
skin to skin, then just stopping the fear, because the fear had gone crazy. And why I also remember her as I'm talking now is I'm seeing her in my mind's eye because it's in my Living Daylights special edition premiere brochure.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Oh.
know.
Oh.
Celebration of 25 years. I know, I've got it in my drawer. She was smashing a bottle over Prince Charles's
Yes.
head,
Yes, that's right, isn't it? Yeah.
and it was sugar glass.
Back then, it was quite a big thing. I think they visited the set. They visited Q's laboratory.
I think that's what we're talking here with Bond and that AIDS
Yes. Yeah.
epidemic that had come out and the awareness. So they had to pull it back with the Bond girls. They couldn't, they didn't want to sexualize them too much. They wanted to bring about their voices, their personalities, that,
Yeah.
they weren't just, yeah.
I think if it was still Roger's era, he might have gone down mid-chase to the harem and met you guys and chatted you up basically. But it wouldn't have fit Timothy's Bond, certainly, no.
No, I mean, Roger, this question came up so much in Scandinavia for me. I don't know why in
Yes.
Scandinavia. They all wanted to say, who's your favorite Bond? Who do you like the best? And I would say that, my straw poll of the
Yeah.
media that I covered over there, it was Roger Moore.
He was the previous one, wasn't he? So I suppose he was still very much loved, wasn't he?
Isn't it interesting? I'm going to try and phrase this right. How possibly, I'll make it personal, my taste in men, which I would have thought, would be
Yeah.
many, that would change with fashion.
Okay.
And I think there's a return for this flirting,
Yes,
actually,
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
because that's chemistry.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it'll always be Connery for me, though.
okay. That's yeah. Because we've just come out, we've just finished the Daniel Craig era, so it's going to be interesting to see. That was quite serious, really, and he didn't bed as many women, so it'll be interesting to see whether they go more into the sort of Roger, more flirty territory for the next film. I think.
Well, are they going to bring in a woman?
As Bond,
Mm.
I don't think they will. I don't think they will, but I think they will make sure there's plenty of female characters alongside him. Like another 00 agent or something like that. They've started to do that a bit. But I think they've said that doesn't have to be a white guy playing Bond. It could be a gay actor, of course. But I don't think they would do a woman. I think Barbara Broccoli said they're not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just the thing is, Barbara, she's not only a visionary, but she's the custodian
Yes, she is.
that has taken this on from her father. I do believe that it's such a big thing to so many people. It causes so much joy. I mean, when you meet the fans who've traveled from everywhere just to get your tiny signature because it's not on their poster, and they're
Yes.
collecting all of them. And you can see how much it means to them. In fact, a couple that came up at the last one, in London a few months ago, that it was a couple, husband and wife, and this was their thing. They loved going around together. And I just went, my God, you're the favorite people I've met here today, because
Oh,
they were a couple doing it together. I mean,
yeah.
there are obviously loads of men who
Yeah.
travel
My
the world.
wife wouldn't do that. No,
Huh?
my wife wouldn't come to one of those.
But I find it all fascinating. Listen, we all need a passion. We all
Yes,
need an
it's good.
interest.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a big thing, and this is one of them. And it can open a conversation, and everybody can join the conversation.
Yeah, it can. It can. Everybody knows something about Bond, don't they? And it's amazing that you've been part of that world. And long may it continue, Karen. Long may it continue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I don't know where I live a guided life now. That's
Yes.
my spiritual terminology. To literally, I've given up now with the ego and making things happen. I'm literally like, okay, well, I know the phone will ring,
Yeah.
pulled or drawn to go somewhere, and that's where I'm meant to be. Sacred.bond will continue to grow, and my signage. And if any of your followers would like to look me up on Instagram, I'm it's at Sacred Bond Heart.
Yeah.
And if anyone has got or is or consider themselves a sacred agent, i.e., someone that helps another tirelessly and selflessly, and has an organization or a charity site on the Belong page, I do, say go to the website and look at the Belong page, because there's so many good people there. It's all about divine connection.
Yeah.
And I have divine exchanges, and I'm discovering that it's actually all not as serious
No.
as I thought life was. It's actually about what you and I've got now and what we discovered yesterday. You just get a connection,
Yes.
get going, have a chat, and share an interest, and that's where it's at. That's, I mean, that's I was going to say that's as good as it gets, but that's from the film by Jack Nicholson.
Great
I love
film.
that film.
Yeah.
Great film.
Wonderful.
Oh my God, great film. Great title.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we'll definitely promote the website and everything. And it's so good to see that you're doing something like that. A very positive thing for well, everyone, I suppose, to get involved with and connect through people you've never met before. And it's just a wonderful thing, Karen, I think.
Well, mental well-being's always been in my.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to play my part. That's it. It's what we all do.
Oh, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful. I really do hope we can see you in person at a Bond event, maybe to celebrate the Living Daylights in the next couple of years or something. That would be so good. Or
Yeah.
signings or something like that.
No, absolutely. We will do that. It's a date. I'm happy to do that. Keep wheeling me out. No, I love it. And that's the other thing, is I actually get to love it more and more and appreciate it more and more. That's been the funniest thing.
Yeah, the Bond community. I didn't even know one existed really until I started this podcast. But there's so many amazing people, a lot of big characters, and they've all got their own life stories, haven't they, that they bring to the fandom. And yeah, I've met so many great people through James Bond, which is almost as good as chatting about the films themselves and watching them. So yeah, very grateful to you as you're part of the Bond community, Karen, as well.
Oh, absolutely. The Bond family, for sure.
Yes.
So, well, Thank you, listeners,
Brilliant.
and and anyone, I probably have met some of your listeners at the
Oh, you will have done.
autograph.
Yeah, you will have
thing.
done. It looks great though. That tuxedo looks really good.
Do you know, I just didn't know what to wear today, and I thought, I can't just turn up in a jumper and say it's cold. But you
Well-
see, that's because it's in your blood. This Bond thing is in your
Yeah.
blood. Now, when Sharon and I go out, we know that someone's going to say, "Oh, did you know they were in a Bond film together?"
Yeah.
And you don't want to disappoint, because they're going to go, "Really?"
Yeah.
And instead they go, "Oh, that's great. Yeah, we've still got it. We've still got it."
Oh, well, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, brilliant.
Right, Karen. Thank you very much.
Lots
Take
of love.
care.
Thanks so much. All right then. Bye.